Hello everyone, today is day 33 of Operation Epic Fury, and right now Special Forces teams are advancing into the Middle East on a whole new level. In addition, aircraft like the A-10, AH-64, and AC-130J are working closely with the Special Forces teams, and so are advanced drones. They can operate alongside these Special Forces teams to execute missions with pinpoint precision. So far, we know that the A-10 Warthog and AH-64 are dominating the skies over Iran when it comes to targeting drones, especially on the southern flank. They are destroying high-speed attack craft attempting to cause trouble in the Strait of Hormuz. The A-10 anti-tank aircraft, flying low and slow with its GA-8 Avenger 30mm cannon capable of firing 7,000 rounds per minute, could reduce the remnants of the Iranian Navy to scrap metal, while providing solid close-range fire support, particularly suitable for Special Forces if they need to conduct precision operations. But the rhetoric from Iran hasn't softened. As you can imagine, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi asserted that the U.S. messages, channeled through intermediaries, were not negotiations and lacked credibility, rejecting U.S. ceasefire proposals as unrealistic. While openly threatening the U.S. military and calling on regional allies to expel U.S. forces, the A-10 Warthog is likely the choice if Special Forces actually enter the country to show Iran who is in control. They would coordinate with the A-10 and AC-130J. Trump said that America's war could be over in 2 or 3 weeks, and he would be giving a national address tonight. However, Iran countered as usual. They said they were prepared for at least 6 more months of fighting. And then, President Trump also said that the U.S. could soon withdraw from the Iran war when new attacks targeted Gulf states and Iran today. So, Iran is still doing what they always do with their drones and ballistic missiles. They still have some capabilities, but this is a big bomb. President Trump posted this on Truth Social. Until then, we're going to bomb Iran into oblivion, or like them. In other words, back to the Stone Age, President Donald J. Trump. So, Araghchi, from whom we heard the rhetoric in the first part of this video, is not the one being negotiated with. It appears there are some internal rifts, and someone else is involved at the negotiating table as the real negotiator with the United States. Or at least Trump is giving Araghchi sleepless nights, as he thinks there might be internal rifts happening within the IRGC or at a higher level of civilian leadership. But in the last 12 hours, U.S. and allied forces have exerted intense pressure. 12,000 sorties have been conducted with bombers, fighter jets, B-52 Stratofortress bombers flying inside Iran, a 10-attack aircraft, and dynamic targeting. Dynamic targeting is when you are in the air, in the cockpit, heading toward the target area, and you receive a dynamic mission to divert and go to a different target. Many of those could be ballistic missiles launched from mountain bunkers. And we also know that Isfahan was burned down last night, which houses important air bases and nuclear-related sites, which leads us to the task force and what they might be used for. So, to assess whether the nuclear program has been wiped out, the reality is that we need ground troops to go in there and inspect the various areas to see if any centrifuges are still operational. Currently, the total number of U.S. troops in the area exceeds 50,000, and there are now rumors confirming that several task forces are in the area. That number could be several hundred or possibly 1,000 task force members, primarily from the Joint Special Operations Command, JOC. These units include the 75th Ranger Regiment, the Navy SEALs, and Delta Force. The commandos are confirmed to be carrying out rapid, direct raids, seizing airfields and securing key terrain via parachute, helicopter, or boat landings. Basically, they can advance in any way they want. And as you've seen in my live streams, we do a lot of target analysis and briefings. There are many different airfields that could be captured, or we could seize some IRGC bases, which is the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy. Some specific locations where they are operating some of their fast attack craft. Smaller fast attack craft are harder to attack, so sending some special forces teams in is necessary. Yes, here's some C4 for your fast attack craft. Think of high priority objectives like securing or reopening the Strait of Hormuz through coastal raids supported by A-10 Warthog aircraft. Yes, nothing provides better support than a bit of BERT air support to protect your position when you're conducting a raid on an IRGCN complex, for example, or targeting Iranian naval remnants and attacking any of their submarines, ensuring there's no longer any possibility of causing chaos in the Strait of Hormuz. And then think about capturing or neutralizing K Island. Now, you've heard me say this before, it's not the best idea if you don't have air superiority over drones and ballistic missiles, but if at some point air superiority is established and you won't be outmaneuvered by drones on the island. I mean, the special forces are extremely intelligent. They're not going to just go to the island, plant a flag, and say, "Hey, we're the SEALs on Kars Island. Please don't target us, Iran." No, these guys are superhuman, intellectually superior, elite athlete type. So there's going to be a strategic way to do that. However, making Kars Island a target for Iran is something they really want. They really want to be able to cause chaos against the special forces teams there if they can find, locate, and target them. Remember, K Island is the center of 90% of Iran's oil exports. But it's not just Kars Island, because Kars Island isn't currently the most strategic point, but you can operate and conduct operations on K Island without actually being there. I mean, there are plenty of options for that too. Think of amphibious units, assault ships, naval expeditionary units. Those units are still there. Those are the people she told you not to worry about. Yes, there are a lot of special forces and commandos in the area. However, we have naval reconnaissance forces on many different targets, and they don't need to just sit on Kar Island in couches and wait for Iranian drones to attack. They have other ways to do that. And think about the Army Special Forces. They can lead airfield seizures at various ports that we've seen. Basically, all of them have airfields. So if the US ever wanted those places or decided to seize them with air superiority and control of the airspace over the drones, the Army Special Forces would likely lead those airfield seizures, move in to take control of the areas, and then allow US operations to take place from those areas. And the SEALs are basically high-level surgical specialists with guns. When I think about what they're particularly suited for, it's targeting high-value targets, specialized operations where you basically need someone who's both a surgeon and a weapon, and you guys send in SEAL teams. But these teams emphasize quick in, quick out actions that erode Iran's ability to control the Straits of Hormuz. And then you overlap those forces with A-10s, AC-130s, MQ-9s, and you turn these into specific, highly targeted raids without turning this into a long slog of a ground invasion that no one wants to see. Because when it comes to these special operations forces, it's pretty clear that it's not the size and number that matters. So you can disregard everything you've heard about the size mattering. But here's a hypothetical situation. So if the talks stall with a new regime, or the old regime starts to target and assassinate the new regime, as these fractures happen in Iran, the Straits could stay blocked for a longer period of time than anybody wants. So a couple thousand Marines are right there from the Marine Expeditionary Unit. They could roll in alongside the special operators and even Marine Recon themselves, seizing airfields, raiding missile caches, striking anyone in the IRGC Navy that hasn't deserted yet, that's decided to be a hero. That might be one of the best uses of SEAL teams in the area. And then securing their uranium sites around Isfahan. And you protect all these forces with the A-10 flying overhead, with that GA-8 cannon ripping apart threats around the insertion zones, while MQ-9 Reapers feed real-time targeting data. The Warhogs would be overlapping with AC-130s. Those are the replacement for the old AC-130 Spectre. But the AH-64S would be working with all these platforms as well, turning any Iranian counter-move into a turkey shoot as long as they're focused on the counter-drone technology.